So gang, you're going to see some video here. I had the opportunity to try out $4,000 headphones today. Dan Clark Stealth headphones. I also tried out the Dan Clark Open Backs, which are even a little bit more expensive than the closed back Stealth by a little bit. I went to a pro home audio place because I have Manny Moroccan Audeze, or how did Bob Olson told me I'm pronouncing it wrong. It's Audeze. Audeze Manny Moroccan MM500 open back headphones. And this is should be interesting to any of you who are into this sort of thing or thinking about getting high-end headphones for mixing. The Audeze, I hope I got that right, are about $2,000, maybe a little less. Maybe you can get a deal on them. They run specials every once in a while. They are open back, really damn good mixing headphones. Not only Manny Moroccan, whose name is on them, but Andrew Sheps and a bunch of other people prefer them. The reason I was interested in something else was, I didn't start out with open back. I was a closed back guy. But I understand that the field you get and the detail is probably better, because I even preferred the Dan Clark open back that I tried by a little bit. The thing is, before I went, Bob Olson kind of ruined this all for me. And I mean that in an extremely loving way, because Bob is the man. I called him up. I've been talking to him like once a week since I moved to London. And I was like, hey, what do you know about these headphones? And he's like, well, I've never tried the Dan Clark. He goes, but I have the Audeze LDXs and I really like them. And I'm like, yeah, but what do you do about it feels to me like there's a 3K bump in it that's a little more than necessary. And he's like, well, you tune them. And I'm like, you tune them? He's like, yeah. He goes, there's softwares that allows kind of like AI in a sense, except you tweak it even a little more yourself by using your ears and you tune it. And I'm like, so you tune yours? He's like, yeah. He goes, we all know they've got that 3K bump. It's not too bad, but yeah, you really don't want it. He goes, except the Audeze, they're really accurate in the low end. And he's right. He's 1,000% right. As usual, Bob, they're super accurate. They feel right, they represent properly, and they're accurate. And this was even more elaborated for me when I tried the Dan Clark. The Dan Clarks are flatter. Even the open back are flatter response headphones. Maybe they're super audiophile to some people. They sounded great. They sounded amazing. But they lacked a little bit in the bottom. And you can see that if you go online to compare the frequency response charts for any headphones, but specifically the MM500 and the Dan Clark Stealth. And the Dan Clark Stealth kind of drop off a little bit in the bottom end, and the Manny Moroccans are right where you want them. So tune the headphones. So I said, well, what software do you use? And he pointed me to a brand. I don't want to endorse any of them because I hate that. But if any of you are interested, I'll be happy to tell you. There are 3 or 4 that he's tried, and he said they were all great. And maybe the reason I don't want to point this one out in particular is that's just where he ended up right now. So I started there since he's using the Audezes as well. And I tuned him. It took about 5 minutes. Like, no kidding. I installed it, pulled it up, did its profile, and then started tweaking the 3 or 4 parameters you can tweak. And then I went back and forth to my monitors And I was like, oh my God, I just tuned them to what I'm hearing from my monitors. And then, of course, you want to check them in your car, in your MP3 player, or whatever else you use to check things. That's always a good idea. But I was shocked that I was able to notch out that 3K without even looking at 3K. I was just using the software and tweaking it as it goes, the environment, the EQ, the what have you. There's like 4 different parameters. 5 minutes, and I was there. So a good lesson. I saved myself a couple of grand. The people at the audio place were amazing. They might have gotten a sale from me anyway because I went into the other room to clean my ears and they brought out a bunch of speakers that were very affordable in my opinion and put on, I was listening to Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye. They put on some like modern stuff. It all sounded very well produced, but I can't tell you if the bottom end is accurate from that stuff. I'm like, put Marvin Gaye on. So I put Marvin Gaye on, then went into their room with the speakers. They brought out a couple oh my God. Unbelievable, sounded fantastic. I really appreciated that. They were awesome. They were super awesome and no hard sell, but I saved myself a couple of grand because they would have taken my Manny Moroccans as a trade-in. So it probably would have laid out another $2,500 which of course is like $3,000 American. So I saved myself a few grand and I don't feel bad about it. And I'm really happy with the software. So look into, or let me know if you're interested in the software and I'll respond to you. But I was really impressed by the software. And thankfully, once again, I asked Bob Olson. You have a question, you ask Bob, and then you're done. Amazing. So check out this quick clip of me filming myself doing the headphones. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks. $4,000 headphones. What do you think? $2,000 headphones.